It is just past midnight in Japan, where we are following breaking news there. Now, a tsunami warning has been issued after a magnitude 7.6 earthquake off the country's east coast. The earthquake struck less than an hour ago, about 70 kilometers from the Japanese coast. And I want to bring in our Hanako Montgomery, who is in Tokyo. Hanako also felt the reverberations as far as Tokyo. You can see the map there showing the epicenter of the 7.6 magnitude quake. Give me a rundown, Hanako, of what we know right now and what authorities are saying.
Yeah, Lainey, we know that a tsunami warning has been issued for parts of northern Japan. So that includes Aomori Prefecture, Hokkaido Prefecture, Iwate Prefecture. I think you said you had a map up right now. And I just want to point to our viewers, Hokkaido is the northernmost prefecture in Japan, and Aomori and Iwate Prefecture are directly below that. And you can see that they're very close to the epicenter where this earthquake occurred. Now, Japan is very prone to natural disasters. Experiencing earthquakes is a part of daily life here in the country. But of course, this is an extremely stressful and fearful time for many people in Japan, as this was a very large earthquake. And we are getting tsunami warnings advised now for parts of northern Japan. Now, in terms of what the Japanese government will be doing now is to update the public about these tsunami warnings, whether waves will actually hit parts of the coast, how high these waves will be, and of course damage. We haven't heard any reports yet of official damage, official reports of damage, but of course this is a fear, especially given that this earthquake was so large and was felt in many places across Japan, including Tokyo, where I am. Elena, you mentioned, I was in Tokyo when, of course, this earthquake happened. I was just getting ready for bed, but this earthquake, of course, kept me up, and it was very long for an earthquake. And usually in Japan, that does indicate that it was pretty large, and tremors, of course, are a fear to follow. Aftershocks, of course, are a huge concern also in Japan, given just how much seismic activity the country does feel, Eleni.
Yeah, I mean, we've also got a new video that has just come into CNN. We're going to watch it together. I haven't seen it yet, but let's listen in. Wow, and you can see the chandelier there, the lights moving quite dramatically, showing the strength of that earthquake. Hanako, we know that authorities have issued this tsunami warning. You previously told me the warning is that there will be 3 meters high. The earthquake happened at around 11:15 Japan time. It is now just after midnight. How quickly do these tsunamis and these waves usually hit the coast after the warning or after the earthquake?
Yeah, Lenny, I mean, the tsunami can hit Japan's coast in mere minutes. And of course, the tsunami itself is a bit delayed after that initial earthquake, which does give residents some time to evacuate to higher ground, as the Japanese government does advise people to do. But again, it's mere minutes. So for people fleeing the coast, they will feel, of course, that time pressure, that time crunch to get to higher ground, to get to safety. Now, of course, when people are evacuating, the Japanese government does advise that they get their go bag. Usually households in Japan have at least one go bag, which is equipped with water, emergency food, heat packs, especially if they live in a cold place like parts of northern Japan where this earthquake was very strongly felt. And of course, they will go to these higher grounds and these evacuation centers so that they can get more information. But again, the Japanese government does stress that it's important in these minutes to get to higher ground. I mean, these minutes can determine whether an individual lives or not. And it's really, really important to get away from the coast, to get away from those potential tsunami waves, which can be, of course, deadly, Eleni.
Yeah. All right, Hanako, just hang with me. We are going to go to Derek Van Dam, our meteorologist based in Atlanta, for an update on what we're seeing on the ground there. Derek, what do you have for me?
All right, Eleni, so we're getting some of these initial reports of tsunami, the initial tsunami wave heights in and around Hokkaido and within the warning areas from the Japan Meteorological Agency. The good news is that they are below what was forecast so far, roughly about a half a meter. Remember, the warning areas, which we'll show you in just one moment, call for up to 3 meters of potential tsunami wave height with this latest earthquake. And so we're still in the early stages, very fluid and dynamic kind of moment in time right now. But what we do know is that the epicenter of this magnitude 7.6 earthquake was just offshore from the Maori prefecture, and due to its proximity, it doesn't take long for tsunami waves to actually reach the coastline. So that's why this is so critical to get this information out as soon as possible. The warnings issued right away after that initial earthquake shock, which, by the way, was felt as far inland and as far south as Tokyo. But reading some of the latest reports from the USGS, there is very strong shaking felt just off the coastline of where the earthquake actually took place. So let's just recap, give you a little bit of a geographical reference here, right? So here's Honshu, here's Hokkaido. That's the epicenter of the 7.6 magnitude earthquake. And what's important here is the depth of the earthquake. Notice it's at 53 kilometers deep, or roughly 33 miles. That's important information too, because if it was closer to the surface, we would have less absorption or rather more wave potential. But the fact that it is that deep has the potential to absorb some of the wave energy. That's what we're hoping, right? So again, we're in the very initial stages of how this tsunami is actually unfolding in real time. So here's the latest warnings from the Japan Meteorological Agency. Remember, this shading of red right along the coastline of Hokkaido and into northern Honshu, this area right near the epicenter, that red X, that's where the earthquake took place. You can see it's just offshore. Again, this is the area with the most energy, the most seismic energy. So there was shaking felt on the ground right around this part of Japan and into Hokkaido. However, the tsunami, or rather the earthquake, took place underwater, so that's why we have this threat of a tsunami for this location. So many of us remember the Fukushima earthquake disaster, right, with the energy plant just to the south, located right here. It looks like it's in the advisory level group here. That's the shading of yellow along the coastline. According to the Japan Meteorological Agency site, that is for tsunami wave potential up to 1 meter, but it's the shading of red closer to the epicenter of the 7.6 magnitude earthquake, where we could get those 3 meter high heights. And so far, they have come in less than what has been predicted. So how in the world, let's just step back and talk about how in the world a tsunami forms in the first place. Remember, tectonic plates, the ring of fire that circumnavigates a good portion of the globe. Well, when these earthquakes happen, we get that shift in the tectonic plates underwater. And what that does is it displaces water, it displaces energy. So at the surface level, I'll go back and replay this animation for you. At the surface level, it creates almost a ripple effect in the water. And that builds as it gets closer and more shallow water, eventually collapsing into a wave. It's not just one wave. That's often the misconception of a tsunami, not one initial wave that comes through. It is a surge of water that continues to move inland depending on the local topography and the bathymetry of the area. So again, just to recap, Eleni, this is what we have, 7.6 magnitude earthquake. It was just offshore, but underwater. It was deep. Hopefully that will kind of absorb some of the earthquake energy, but it is critical right now that we get the information out to viewers and our international audience that tsunami warnings are in place, advisories are in place in some of these very populated parts of Japan.